Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Vibhor Bansal from Eager Foundation. We are starting this webinar or this session on front-end development, while others will keep on joining during the session. This is the fourth session as part of our DIGITx Bootcamp that has been running since 19 May. We are having almost every week one session, and you have already participated in design a Digit service session, installing Digit and building a Digit service by Ghanshyam, Aniket, and Subhashini experts from Digit. Now, this is a fourth session on front-end development using ReactJS by Jagan Kumar. Jagan is a tech lead at eGov and have been working on Digit for at least last 4 years on front-end development. He maintains front-end for Digit across various applications and missions. Of course, he has a very good experience even before joining Digit on front-end development using ReactJS. I will not take much of a time from here, and I'll hand it over to Jagan. Just a couple of announcements. Please use Q&A tab if you have any query during the session, and we have a team here who will keep on responding to your queries, or maybe some of the queries would be addressed by Jagan during the session. You can utilize chat to interact with us as well as among the other participants. There will be a feedback form at the end of this session, which we would request you to fill in. That will help us understand what would you like to hear from us in future, and how do you find this session relevant, and how we can improve further. So without further ado, Jagan, over to you.
Thanks, Vibhor. So
I will put it on the slideshow.
A warm good morning, everyone. So today we'll see about what is DigiTUI and how to build a front end using ReactJS in DigiTUI. Okay. So why we have to use DigiTUI? Basically, I've already I hope everyone have gone through the previous session, like how to design a service and how to write a service. So to use the same service, so we'll use the DigiTUI. So basically, we have already core UI. So from there, you can start building your applications. Okay. So you don't have to build from the scratch. Okay. So I'll just showcase the different UIs that is up and running in different environments. So just give me a minute. So these are various Digit UIs that is running in different environments. You can see there are a lot of customizations happened at different environments. So I'll give you an overview of what Digit is. So I hope everyone went through the prerequisite that is mentioned in the code.digit.org. So basically, you should have the prior knowledge of ReactJS, HTML, CSS. Okay. Also the Digit UI framework, how the UI framework works. So in the Digit UI, basically we use these following libraries. I've also given the official documentation, like how these libraries works basically. So what is React 2 from? You can just go through this. React queries and Tailwind CSS, Axios, etc. Okay. So I'll go back to the slide. Okay. So first of all, we'll start with this folder structure. So I'll just explain how the folder structure looks. So basically, so in your repo, when you fork out from DIGITx, you'll be having a front-end folder. So in the front-end, we'll be maintaining all the UI related stuff. Okay. There are two things. One is a micro UI and mono UI. Mono UI is mostly a deprecated one, but still it is running in some production mode. So we are just maintaining it. So micro UI. So today we'll be more focusing on the micro UI. Okay. So this is how the micro UI folder structure looks. There is a web and then there is a micro UI internals. Okay. So basically, if you want to create a new module, so you'll be directly going inside this micro UI internals packages modules. So you can write your own modules as per the requirement. Okay. So the folder structure basically looks like this. So you'll have an example, so which contains all the modules, imports, etc. And in the packages, so basically you have something called libraries. Okay, so you'll write all your API calls, custom hooks, everything inside in those libraries. And similarly for CSS, you will be writing like all the CSS as per pages or as per C or like components. Okay, you'll be writing inside the CSS folder. Similarly, there is something called React components. So what is that is basically there might be some reusable components between modules. So all those reusable components will be present in the React components, and then it can be imported in any modules inside the modules folder. So this is about the folder structure. I'll just go back to the presentation thing. So I just mentioned about the folder structure. I think we'll just go into the next one about UI configuration. So what is UI configuration? Basically, if you take a digit UI, so you'll have to start with all these DevOps configuration. Okay. So to enable build, so you'll have to add this build configuration in your repo. And once the build configuration is added to your master branch, and then you'll have to go to job builder and build now, so that you'll get an option to build and deploy. Okay. So second is a deployment configuration. Basically, to deploy in any environment, you'll have to add this Helm chart. Okay, I've added the steps how to create the folders and etc. Okay. That is about the Helm chart configuration. And after the Helm chart is added, so for deployment in any environment, so in your environment file, you'll be adding this steps. Like basically, you'll have to add this things like digit UI and what is the configuration, global config that is required. So what is global config? Basically, global config is the environment file for your application. As you have already seen in the Java application, you might be having application.properties in your app level, and then you will be overriding them in the Helm chart level. So similarly, in the UI, you will have a global config to maintain all the configuration that is required to run the application. So how to create a global config is mentioned here. So you can go through this. Okay. So this also has how to create an S3 bucket and other stuff, like basically how to configure. So after creating S3 bucket, you will be pushing that to like you will be creating a global config and pushing it to your S3 bucket, and then linking that so that this config gets enabled at this environment. Okay. So this is about the configuration. So any questions till now, so that we'll go into the next. So next step will be, so we'll be focusing on local setup. So how the like you can just clone this DIGITx repo. From there, if you take the master branch, it will have all the modules. So for implementation purpose or creating any new modules without having any other module dependency, you can directly switch to this DIGITy import. So which has the basic setup already made. So you can directly write your own module and then proceed further. Okay. So you'll be like cloning this DIGITx and then switching to this branch, and then you'll be running an yarn install and then yarn do stuff. Okay, so I'll just showcase them on the UI. So I've already cloned. You can see this is the DIGITx repo. I just cloned. Yeah, cloned the front end. So I'm inside micro UI internals. So I'll be just opening it in my terminal. So first command would be like sudo yarn install. So it will download all the dependencies that is mentioned in my package.json. And yeah, I think it is done. So I'll just go with the next command. So if you want to know what all commands that you can execute, you can just check in each package.json. You'll be having the scripts folder, like scripts tab. So inside the scripts, you can see all the different commands that can be executed. So for now, I'll just go with the start command, which is basically to start the local server by building all the modules mentioned here. Okay. So basically, if you do a yarn install, you should be already, like I already mentioned about the required Node.js version of the thing. I will just also showcase the Node version of mine, like it is already in 14.18.1. So basically, if you start installing Node.js, if you take the latest one, it would be like 18 plus into. So like currently DigiTy, like we have made a compatible with the 14. So you'll have to use either install 14.18 or you'll have to use a Node version manager, which and then you will be installing the specified version. Meanwhile, I'll just showcase the next step. So basically, so after you will be doing a local setup and then doing a yarn install, you'll have to do a environment setup in your local. So what is environment setup? Basically, to which environment you are going to proxy. So I have already given some sample environment configuration. So I'll just create, like you'll have to basically create a .env file at the example folder, and then you can just copy, refer any one example folder, like example, like environment file, sample file, and then take and then paste it in your .env and then do a yarn style. Okay. So basically, if you want to change to a different environment, you'll have to just change this proxy API URL and assets URL, and then you'll have to mention the global config of that environment. Okay. So this is the basic setup to like step two to like start the local development. Okay. So I think this DigiTy local development, I think it got started now successfully. So I'll just showcase how the UI looks. Okay. I'll just show this. Okay. So I'll just go back to the slide again. So I think we have completed this local setup till now. Okay. So also I have mentioned about local setup guide. You can also go through that. So this has mentioned like what all node version is required and yarn version is required. And so this is already mentioned here. I'll just go back again. Next thing. So next thing would be creating a new module in the DigiTy. Okay. So I've already showcased about the DigiTy and then local setup. So next step would be creating a new module. Okay. So I've given a link. So this has the details about how to create a new module. Okay. So you'll be going to micro internals, packages, and then modules, and then you'll be creating a new folder with your module name. Okay. So here the example is given as via. So you can give any name. So whatever name you're giving here, so you'll have to configure in MDMS also with the same name. Okay. So I'll just showcase like here. This is the sample environment, like sample module, and this is the sample module package.json. Okay. So every module when you create, like you should have a package.json. This is the template for it. You can just copy and then rename the name, like module name, okay, accordingly. So I'll just showcase. So I've just created a sample module. So I'll just showcase module and then a sample. Okay. A sample module has been created, and I just mentioned like what is dependency, everything. So whenever you create a new module, you'll be like whenever you create a module, you'll be maintaining a package.json. Here in the package.json, you will be mentioning where is the source file, from where the source it has to compile. Okay. So I've mentioned it as source of module.js. So module.js is our start from where the code starts. Okay. So whenever you create any module in a DigiTy, you're supposed to do a function, export a function called init module name components. Okay. This is the template that you have to follow. so that this module can be used in across the DigiTx. Okay, so the naming convention would be init, and then the module name, and then components. So what is this? So basically this init module, like init sample component, basically will do register all the components that can be overridden or customized as per, like in different environments as per requirement. Okay, so if you if you want any component to be overridden, so that has to be mentioned here, like components to register, and then that can be overridden. Okay, so I hope like this is the basic function you have to write. Okay, I just created an init sample component. So similarly, whenever you create a module, the other thing you have to export is export module, sample module. So basically, if you are if you are creating a new module called sample, so I just created sample underscore, like sample module. If you are creating a new module called BR, so you'll be creating BR module. So what this does is basically this module gets initialized. Okay, so this here you will be mentioning all the route configuration, what all routes this module can contain. So all these will be mentioned in this module file. Okay, module function. So here you will also doing one more thing. So this module, what all localization has to be loaded. Okay, so that has to be mentioned here. So module code here, I'm just saying I need a sample module localization, common module localization, workflow module localization, and tenant module localization. So these modules will get loaded when I load this sample module. The next thing would be I'm just defining a routes. Okay, if I route to this create screen, what component has to be loaded, like what screen has to be loaded. I've just defined all these routing configuration in my pages index.js. This is up to you, but basically you have to follow module.js, and then you have to export these two things. The remaining things you can follow as per you want. Okay. So I just created a sample module. In the sample module, I have just exported two things. So one is sample module, and then init sample components. Okay. The other thing is, so every module will have a card component. Okay. So what is this card component? So basically, this card component is your home page. Okay. So in your home page, just a minute, I'll just show this. So basically, this is your home page. So in your home page, every module you can have as many cards you want in the home screen. So for this sample module, I just created a sample card that gets shown in the home screen. So this is the way you have to register that component, the sample card in your components to register. So this component gets registered in your component registry service. And if you're registering component registry service, this can be overridden at any part of time. Okay. So I just showcase how the card component looks like. So you'll be just mentioning the links, what all links that card component should have, and the other details, okay, module name, etc. So this sample card get initialized. Okay, this is how we'll be creating a module. Okay, we just checked about how to create a new module. Next one is enabling the module in the DigiTux. So basically, the locally I just created any module, but that doesn't get export, like that doesn't get shown in the UI. So if you want to enable a module, you'll have to just go to the city module.json. So this is present at MDMS. So every environment will have an MDMS. So here you have to just mention the module name, whatever you are going to create. So basically here, I just mentioned a module called sample. Okay. So here you can see there are different modules that is being there. So why you are maintaining this is basically if you want to like enable or disable a module. So here you can just set the flag active as false. So this module gets disabled in the environment. Okay. So we are maintaining that in the MDMS. So this you have to do. So basically you have to give the same name, whatever the name that you have created when you create a module. Okay. So after this, you'll be restarting your MDMS so that this module gets enabled. So currently I've enabled that sample module already. So you can see the sample module that is getting shown. Okay. So this is the next step. Yeah, I think this has the details about how to link the module. Okay. The next one is, yeah, I've already covered about what is a module.js. Basically, this is the place where the code starts, code compilation starts. Next one would be creating a new screen. Okay. So in the digital, you'll be having multiple, like different types of screen. Basically, we are broadly classifying them as create, view, inbox, and search. Okay. So for creating a new screen, so you'll be like using a Formcomposer, and then I'll just showcase how the screen looks like and how to create a screen as well. So this is an overview about different types of screens. Okay. So here you can see the different types are mentioned here. So now we'll go back to the code again. I'll showcase how to create a new screen. So this is a module.js. So from here the code starts. So I have just mentioned an employer. So I'm just going inside employer and then I'm mentioning what all routes that this module can contain. And I'm just saying a create, inbox, and then search. Okay. So for creating a new screen, I just created a sample screen. So this is the screen. So basically I told about Formcomposer. Formcomposer is a hook that we created, like HOC component that we created in our React components. So that is being exported and being used at multiple like missions as well. Okay. So basically this what is Formcomposer is it accepts a config. Based on the config, it renders the UI. Okay. So how the config looks like, basically you can create a config similar to this. Yeah, you can showcase. I will showcase. So this config will be looking like this. What is an header? What is a subheader? You can just define everything. And then in your body, you'll have to just mention. So different fields, basically. So here I just showcased like there are different types of fields. Like I can use a text, or I can say a type as radio, and I can say type as number and a mobile number. These are predefined components that is present already. Location or drop down, and text area, and type amount, etc. Okay. So these are predefined components that is already present in the Formcomposer itself. Okay. You don't have to create or do something. So you can directly use, like just mention this config and then start using them. Okay. So after adding this, automatically in your screen, these components, like these, as per the config mentioned here, in the same order, the Formcomposer renders in the UI. Okay. So there might be some exception. So you can't use the direct text field, or you might be having some custom logic. So in those cases, you'll be directly writing type as component. Just showcase the type component as well. Yeah. So type component. So in the type component, so basically when you are defining any component as type component, so you'll have to register that component into our component registry service. Okay. So here I just mentioned about a sample component. So this component, I just inside the source folder, I just created a sample component here. So this is basically a React component, how to like functional component. This doesn't nothing. Basically, it just takes the data and then showcase that. Okay. So I'll just go back again to create config. So just showcase about how to write a config. Okay. This is the structure that you have to create for any create screen. Okay. So I'll just showcase how the screen looks like after navigating to the screen. Okay. I think there is a glitch. I'll just check that. I'll just go with the next thing. So we'll just see about different types of screens, basically the search screen. Okay. So next thing is search screen. So basically this search screen is also built on top of a component that is being exported from the React components. Okay, so this is called the InboxComposer. So we have seen about Formcomposer. Similarly, we have Inbox or Search Composer. Okay, this accepts a config, and based on the config, you will be seeing a screen similar to this one. So here we will be mentioning how, like, what all components, like what all fields that you have to search. Okay, this config you can keep at any MDMS or inner local. So it is recommended to keep an MDMS so that if there is a change, they can change at the configuration, like MDMS level, so that the screen gets updated accordingly. So I'll just go through how the config is. Okay. So I'll just run through this configuration to like to render any search screen. Okay. So we'll be just mentioning what is the search screen headers, everything, and which, like, basically it can be divided into multiple subparts. Okay. So one thing is, so any search screen will have an API details, what all APIs that will be interacting with. The other one is sections, what all sections the screen will have. Okay. The screen would be, sections would be divided into search and then search itself. Okay. So in the search, I will just mention about the configuration saying I need these many fields. Okay. So the fields are defined here, like I need a word field, I need some text field called rate seeker name, and like there are different type, everything is a type. Yeah, there is a type called mobile numbers. So this okay, one second. So there are different types of fields that is already, which is like already present, so you can directly use them. So some of them are like type text, mobile number, drop down, etc. So basically, in case of text, mobile number, you can directly mention what is the label and what is the okay. Okay. So basically, in the type text, mobile number, etc., you'll be just mentioning what is the validation for it. Okay. The Formcomposer basically validates the given criteria. Okay. You don't have to specifically like write a special function to validate them. Okay. So I'm just mentioning about different validation things. So this is the pattern for them. And in case of dropdown, we have a special option. So you can directly, like if the dropdown is coming from MDMS, you can directly mention the MDMS config of it. Basically, what is the module name and master name and local prefix. This is for basically for converting into different languages. Okay. So this prefix will be added to all the values that is coming from the MDMS, and then it translates into like selected language on the screen. So this is about different types of fields, and there is something called date. So here this is for created, like this is also a type of field, and you can see the validations accordingly. Okay, this is about the search UI config. Based on this config, you can directly see the screen. So I got a word field and a rate seeker name, etc. Okay, so if I don't want any field, I can remove them. Okay, and this is about the UI config to get the search part. Similarly, there is something called search result. So search result will be saying what all columns you need in the table. Okay, you'll be just saying the label, what is defined. Like you will be just saying like what is the label for each column. Okay, and from the like there is next thing. This is about search result, right? Yeah. Before that, you'll be interacting with an API. Okay, so you'll be saying which API this screen, like this after I click on search, which API it has to call. Okay. Currently, it has a limitation. You will be directly interacting with only one API for now. We are assuming like you'll be doing all the activities in the backend itself. Okay. So you'll be just mentioning which API it has to call. And okay. So basically in the search screen, after you enter the values, okay, this will be directly set into request body dot individual dot, like you will have to mention the path of the request body, so that automatically this gets set into the request body for the API. Okay, so I'll just showcase how this works. So as I mentioned, so it calls this individual /v1/search, and then it sends the data as I mentioned in the configuration. So inside request body.individual, it sets this mobile number field. Okay. This JSON path you will be mentioning in populators. Okay. So this is how you write any search screens. Okay. Similarly, okay, I'll just give a break here. So any questions till now, we'll go to an inbox.
Change to light mode. The code light mode, dark mode to light mode.
I'll showcase the different scenarios, how to customize the
No,
field.
code is not visible, I'm asking.
Okay.
In the editor, can you move to the light mode? No, it's okay.
I'll just go to the next one, which is an inbox, like types, a screen type called inbox. Okay. So next thing will be inbox screen. So basically the search and inbox are mostly like similar only. The inbox, we have few more sections in the sections column. Okay. So here I will showcase how the inbox screen looks like. So in inbox, we have 4 sections. Okay. In the search screen, we have 2 sections, which is called search and search result. But in inbox, we have 2 more sections, which is called links and then filter. Okay. So I'll just take inbox screen for. So you can see from the screen itself, from the previous screen to the current screen, there is only one difference. You got one link, like one more card component and one more filter component. Okay. So how to render that? Basically, I'll just say, so I need these links to be performed, and these links has to be shown to these roles. If the user has these roles, then you show that link. Okay. So I'll just mention that. So similarly, I can also mention about thing I have to configure. Okay. So this you have to already predefine your React components. So this is about link component and a link section, and then I'll go to a filter section. So filter section is similar to a search section. Here also you have to mention the fields, what has to be shown in the UI. So I'm just saying, I just iterate to, this is an array. So you can just enter as many fields that you have. I'll just take a few example. I'm just saying I need a type radio, and then the options I'm just mentioning here. So you can see the type radio got shown. Okay. Similarly, there is something like here, so it has multiple properties. Basically, you can just mention it is mandatory or not, or you want to disable with some pre-filled values, etc. So all these you can do by default. So this has the different fields. So we have a custom field component called location router. Basically, this renders your award or locality. Okay. And there is one more custom component. This is also custom for workflow. Basically, this will directly show you a different status, okay, different workflow status for the given mentioned businesses. So you don't have to rewrite the code to fetch all the status that is present in the businesses. This component takes care of it. Okay. So this is how you render an inbox thing. It is also similar to a search. You'll be like just mentioning the API details similarly, like which API has to be called, and what is the minimum parameters for search, filter, etc. And in the search form, if you type something, where it has to set in the API request body, so that you'll be mentioning the search and the filter JSON paths respectively. So that this automatically sets when you call API, search or filter that you see in the screen. This is about the inbox screen. Here also you'll be having a search result similarly. So you can see a search result, you can see like different columns, what all columns you have to render in the screen, and what is the label for that column, and from where in the API response, from where it has to take the value. Basically, I will just say business object to master role, so that when an API responds with the business object, it takes that path, okay, and then it shows the master role value similar. This is about writing an inbox concept. So next thing would be, I'll just go back. I'll go back to the presentation. So we just saw how to create a new screens, and we just saw about different types of screen. Okay. So I'll just go back to the next slide, customization. So why customization? Basically, from the product side, we'll be like from the any mission side, we'll be writing multiple modules by default. Okay. So if you want to change anything as per requirement to a different state or wherever you are doing an implementation, there is a change. So you can do a customization on top of the given product. Okay. So I'll just showcase how the customization works. So I'll just okay. There are 3 types of customization. Okay, one is a high level customization, medium level, and low level. Okay, so we are not recommending the low level customization. Okay, so first, what is high level customization? So high level customization basically, yeah. So high level customization basically will be changing only, like you will be directly deploying the given build, Docker build into your environment, and then you'll be changing only workflows, and then the MVMS configuration, logos, and localization, etc. as per the state requirement. Also, the MDMS options in the dropdown, everything will be changing without touching the UI. This is high level customization. Okay. So I can showcase, like I have already showcased about the different UIs that is running in different environment. You can see these are different UIs. So all these are on top of Digit only. So you can see the multiple customization they made on top of the given product. Okay, this is a core Digit UI. So you can see a different. Okay, I think this they have just changed only some localization and images. So if you see this, so they changed the banner image, etc., logos, everything, and then they configured the different localization. So if you see the next one, they have changed the complete the landing screen. So they changed the banner image, and then they modified the custom CSS. So if you see these two are high level customization, they just changed only the high level configurations, okay, without touching the core UI. So if you check this one, they made a change. This is an example for a medium level customization. They overridden the CSS as well as they changed like as per requirement. Okay. So next thing is, yeah, this one. If you check this one, this is completely changed. Okay. This is also built on top of Digit UI. So you can see this is a low level customization example. So they made a complete change in the core package, core UI package. Okay. So again, these are all mono UI examples that is running in a different environments. Okay. So I just showcased about high level customization. So what is medium? Next will be medium level customization. So what is medium level customization? Basically, here you will be changing the CSS as per required. Okay. Second thing is you will be overriding, like changing some fields, like making some fields mandatory and removing a field or adding a new field. So you'll be basically changing the configs, okay, as well as you will be overriding some components. Okay. I will showcase how the medium level customization works. So high level customization basically will be changing only the MDMS and you will not touch mostly the UI. So in the medium level customization, you will be touching the UI. So you will be writing your own custom module, customization module on top of the modules that is already been created. So first I will showcase how to create a new module for customization. So as per the folder structure, inside the packages, you can create your own custom module. And then you'll be mentioning this as customization module name, whatever you want. And then like this is similar to a module creation, but it has few more steps involved. So basically, in your by default customization, like by default component initialization, you have seen you might be having only components to update. But here we have few more things, few more functions that is getting called, which is override hooks and override config. This is to support few more level of customization. Okay, so you'll be creating a similar file for your overriding any module that is already been written, like given from the product. Okay. So I'll just showcase some example to override a component. Okay. So assume just hide this and then first I will enable this module. So this is the folder structure. You'll be creating a module and then you will be writing your module.js. And if you want to override any component, you'll be just mentioning in your component register And then if you want to override any hooks or any specific services, you'll be mentioning them in your libraries folder. Okay, not libraries. Okay, just a second. Yeah, basically you have similarly hooks and configs folder where you can override the configurations and hooks accordingly. Like whatever hooks that you want to override or any service that you want to override, you can just mention in your hooks folder. This is just for naming, like following some folder structure to like maintain integrity so that you don't have any issues. Also, it will be helpful for someone to read. So in the hooks, I'll just mention about different types of hooks. Okay. So first, I'll just showcase how to create a customization module. So this is the example for customization module. After creating this, we'll be enabling them. Okay. So I'll just import this init customization module, and then I'll just call this initialization at last. Okay. So in your like example index.js, you will have to import the exported function init customization folder function so that this customization gets initialized. Okay, this basically to initialize this customization, you should always do at the last so that all the modules, all the components gets registered, like by default components gets registered, and then you will be overriding them. Okay. So if you write, like if you initialize this customization on top, so none of the customization will work. Okay, you will get only default component that is present. So first I'll showcase. Okay, so this is the HRMS card. Basically, from the HRMS module that I imported, I got this card. Okay, so I'm just in my, like as per our requirement, I want to customize this. I want to change this card behavior. Okay, so I will just write like basically I will not have HRMS module access. If you check in my modules folder, I won't be having any modules called HRMS. Okay, this HRMS comes from the npm package. So I'm just saying I need an HRMS module. I'll just mention HRMS import and then I will initialize that. Okay. Also, I will be like enabling that here and then in MDMS. Okay, this so that this module gets enabled. So after enabling this, I'm saying I want to do a customize of this HRMS module. So what I do inside my customization folder, just a second. Yeah, inside my customization folder, I'll just say I want to override this HRMS card. How to override this? I'll have to just define a same file name. So basically, every module will have its own card, right? So as per the naming convention for HRMS card is the card component that gets rendered in the home screen. So I will say I will override this component. I will register in the same name, and then I will customize accordingly whatever I want, and then I will just mention in my customization folder. So what happens is when this code get compiled, first in HR, like I'll just showcase from here. So first HRMS components get initialized by default component. Okay. After that, I just say initialize Mukta customization so that this customization gets enabled. So when in the Mukta customization, again, I am registering the same component and same name. So what happens? It gets overridden. So if you see the screen, if I just refresh, so you can see the component got overridden according to the new record. Okay. Similarly, you can override any component. Okay. So this is about overriding any component. So similarly, we have an example for overriding any hooks. So what is hooks? Basically, you'll be writing the asynchronous functions over there. Okay. So I'll just showcase the next thing, how to customize the CSS. So you can see currently I have okay, by default, I will just showcase the by default CSS. Then I will showcase how the customization works. Okay. So when you want to try customization of CSS, first thing you have to do is you have to have your own CSS. Okay. So custom CSS. So you will be creating a module called custom CSS in your packages. Okay. So this will be like similar replica of CSS, but you don't have to copy the complete content. So wherever you want to override, you can just mention about it. So you can see this is my by default CSS. Okay. So you can see the CSS is coming like this. So in my requirement, I want to change the colors and basically I want to change the primary colors. So what I will do, I'll just go to my custom CSS that I created now. So I'll just go to my tailwind config. So I hope everyone is clear about what is tailwind.css because this is given in the pre-requirement. So in this tailwind config, I'll be just saying, this is my primary colors and this is my secondary colors. I'll have to override everything. And then where all it has to reflect, you'll be just mentioning them in your index.css. Basically, I want to say, I'll be saying, I want to override in these places. Something called in sidebar and in links wrapper, in header, submit bar. So I want to apply the new color. So I'll just say in my custom CSS, I'll just mention the class name, whatever that has to be overridden. And then I will say apply the primary color. So what happens is it takes the primary color from the given mentioned in the tailwind config. Okay. So I'll just showcase the customized one. I will enable them. So after creating custom CSS, you will be importing them here. So the steps to be followed for customization of CSS is mentioned. I'll just showcase. So this is the steps that you have to follow. Basically in CSS overriding also you have two options. One is overriding and then overriding. So overriding is basically you'll be just adding your own custom CSS on top of digit CSS. So basically you should first mention your CSS here, like by default CSS, and then your custom CSS on top of it. So that what happens, first CSS, whatever you have mentioned will be like shown in the screen. After that, this gets overridden with the next one. Okay, that is your custom CSS. Okay, so this is about the steps to override the customization. Also, there is a separate for like how to publish them into NPM. So basically, when you create a custom CSS, it is your responsibility to publish them into NPM. Okay. Also, it should be published in your like organization level. So basically, we'll be mentioning the organization plus the DIGITx-UI custom CSS and then the version, and then you'll be doing the NPM publish. Okay. This is about the customization for CSS. Okay. I'll just go back. So we have covered about what is high level customization and then a medium level customization. Now the third one is a low level customization. Basically, if you check our digit UI, so it is like we have built a core UI, okay, which has high dependent on the backend services which is running in digit services, basically the MBMS service and localization service and user service and then access control. Okay, so if you are doing a low level customization, then you can change the current dependencies and you can like change according to like basically if you are changing, then it is your responsibility to take the future updates. Okay, so in the low level customization, your first step would be you'll be mentioning your workspace. Okay, so this is the build configuration. So you need to over if you are doing a low level customization, you can override all the modules that is being mentioned. Okay, this is about the customization. Here we have mentioned about the examples as well, how to override multiple customization. Okay. Okay. So next thing would be adding or removing any fields. Okay, so I'll just showcase them as well. So as you see, like after I added a new module, like and added and enabled a module called customization. So you can see one more code that got appeared in our called customization module. Okay. So I'll just go back to the create screen, which initially there was an issue. So I couldn't see. Like, I will showcase how this create screen looks like. So I have seen about the configuration to render a create screen. So as per this one, you can see. So this screen got rendered. Okay. So by default, if I click on submit, so it checks for all the mandatory field. So wherever I mentioned is mandatory as true. So these components are mandatory. So also you will get the asterisk and then the required mark. Okay. So you'll be entering some value. Okay. So I have added a custom component, which is called sample component here. At the bottom, you can see. So what this does is basically just showcase whatever is being entered will be shown here. Okay. So just for a viewing purpose. Okay. So after I write everything, so you can see the so you can see in the view component. So whatever data have been entered here will be shown. Like this is just a sample component I just created to showcase the how the data looks like. Okay, this complete data. So on click of submit, I'll be getting it through in my submit function handler. Okay, so this is the submit function. So here I will get the complete data. So here, if you want to make like any API call for creation or something, so you'll be just mentioning about the hook. Okay, whatever API you have to mention, like wherever it has to be saved. Okay, whichever API you have to call. So you can just mention it, and then you'll get the data which is of like validated data. Okay, as per the config that is being mentioned here, it will validate all the patterns, everything. And then if you have any custom validation, basically some validation as per business requirements, so that you can do on top of this submit. So here you can just check the different values and then do some custom check and then validate and then do and then send that to API. Okay, that you can do over here. So this config I just created it as a local. So basically this configuration will be always rendered through the this configuration will be always present in our MDMS report. Okay. So if you want to change, like if you want to add a new field or make this field mandatory as like enable like true or false, so you can directly change in the MDMS only. So you can directly update like if this field has to be disabled or set as mandatory, or if you want to change the label, or if you want to change anything, you can directly change in the MDMS itself. Okay. So if you can also add as many fields you want. Also, you can remove the existing fields. Okay. The Formcomposer will handle as per like config given. Okay. And if you want to set any default values, yeah, you can go. Okay. All these things will be handled by the Formcomposer itself. Okay. This is a default hook, like HOC component that we created for handling all the create forms. Okay. This is about the create forms. Okay. I'll just go back here. So if you want to change, like remove any field, you will directly go to MDMS and update the configuration accordingly. Similarly, if you want to add any field, you can directly add. If you are doing any custom component field, then it is your responsibility to register in our component registry service. Okay. So this is about adding any new field. So similarly, if you are adding any new language or configuring, so first you have to go to the MDMS. So this is about there is something called common state info. So in state info, you'll be just mentioning what all languages you want, like what all language you want to show. So basically in our home screen, we'll be seeing the different options. Okay. So even in the top bar, you can see the different option. This option is coming from this MDMS state info. So here you'll be saying what is the default name for the state and the different logos and the default URLs plus the languages. Okay. If you are adding a new language, you add it here, and then you'll have to observe a localization for it. Okay. So you for localization observe, you'll be using this AP localization messages events slash observe, and then you'll be just saying all the code and then the module. Okay, like messages and which module it is corresponding to. Okay. So basically, when you take a UI, so when it loads, okay, it loads first, it loads the common module and then the selected tenant. Okay. So as and then later to each module, you can load as per the location that is required. Okay. So as you have seen in the module.js of this file, you will be mentioning which localization module has to be loaded for which module. So I'll go back again. So this says about how to add a new field and removing a new field. Okay. And similarly, for making mandatory and non-mandatory, we'll be just mentioning the flag mandatory true or mandatory false. Okay. Any questions?
There's one in the question tab. If anybody is asking. I think Naveen is responding to.
Okay. So yeah, if you're like if you're changing any field names, currency, everything, it will be coming under medium level customization. Okay, in low level customization, you will not touch any configuration that is present by default. So in medium level customization, you can change the configuration that is present. Plus, you can write your own custom component and register it. How the Formcomposer works exactly? Basically, it runs over the configuration that is being given. So it just takes the header and then the body. So each header you can see the screen. This is the screen. So you can see if I want to, like, I just added all the different types of heading. So you can see different types of headings are coming. So here I will just say I need application subheading. So here this is the one, application subheading. Okay, this is for a second. Like I'm just dividing it into two part. So okay, so that's why it is coming as two cards in like a single card with a line separation in between. So I'll mention in the bodies whatever fields that you mentioned, it just gets rendered in the screen based on the type and then the label it shows, and then the type whatever type you mentioned, the component will get rendered, and validation will be applied based on this validation that is being passed. Okay. So why the ternary operator? I can directly pass the config. So basically, I'll just showcase why this has been written. So here, I'll just say like I need a configuration from the MDMS. Okay. So assume there is some issue with the MDMS. They are not configured the MDMS for this script. So I'll just take the configuration that is being default configuration that is being written in the file itself. Okay. If you're passing that MDMS config, then it loads that. If you're not passing, then it goes with the default one. That's why we have a ternary check here. But no logic for currently there is no logic, but basically here you will be getting the configuration from the MDMS. If MDMS configuration is there, it will take that, or else it will take the default configuration. Okay. Yeah, we can go ahead with other operators as well. So this, like basically for using Formcomposer, this is the way. You can directly pass a config and then use it. So it is up to you to use whatever you want in this previous piece. Okay. So only the onSubmit function you'll have to pass to this Formcomposer. Like onSubmit plus this one configuration. These two are the input parameters.
We have a hand raise from Shubham. So Shubham, I'm allowing you to speak. You can unmute and talk. I believe if you have a question, else you can lower your hand. If it was by mistake. Okay, then. So I think that is it from Jagan. If there are any questions, we'll stay online for 2 more minutes. You can post your questions in Q&A tab. Else we will have to stop the session here.
Okay. Thank you.
So if there is no question, we're ending the session here. I would request everybody to leave your feedback that helps us in curating future sessions.